Madam
Okay,
Chair,
please begin.
and just want to pick up where I left off. We're talking about the most vulnerable and targeted Afghans who were left behind, those that served with the Canadian Armed Forces. They empowered us, they enabled us, they kept us safe. They worked with our provincial reconstruction teams, and they were more than just, local contractors. They became part of family. And our veterans and those that are currently serving care deeply about them. Now, we know that you're coming up on the 18,000 limit. We know that the goal is to get to 40,000, and there's a lot of easy Afghans to reach as refugees who are already out of harm's way. I think what Canadians want to know, what members of the armed forces want to know, and what our veterans want to know who served alongside them and often are suffering greatly but because they're still in contact with them, when are we going to invite the rest of those that have been vetted and accepted to join us here in Canada?
So I'll begin by saying thank you for the question. Our 40,000 number is one of the highest per capita targets.
That's fine,
in
and
the
I think that's
world,
great, Minister.
And we are focused on vulnerable Afghans. We are focused on doing this evacuation and continue bringing through Afghan nationals as quickly as possible. It is a priority for IRCC, and D&D is assisting wherever and however possible.
We know for a fact that those that served with our forces, and even we talked about the language and culture advisors, which were Canadian Afghans who went back. There's over 40 of them. They got, over 1,000 family members back there that will also want to come. We know that they're being targeted, along with those that are interpreters in their family, by the Taliban. They're being arrested, interrogated, tortured, and executed. Are we going to protect those people? Are we going to make sure that they get a chance to come to Canada and be safe?
Well, the scenario that you are pointing to is deeply disconcerting, and we are working to support IRCC's policy to facilitate reunification of former advisors and vulnerable Afghans and members of their extended family, in fact. We are validating applications when and as requested by IRCC, and IRCC is really best placed to speak to the specific.
So are you advocating for those Afghans to Minister Fraser, saying these should be our priority? Let's help get them out. Let's give them the advice on how do they get to safe haven so that they can be brought here as refugees. Because I know our offices, including my own, one of my staffs, their cell number's gone all through Afghanistan. We're getting calls all the time. We don't have the resources to vet. And we rely heavily on the list that has come from the Department of National Defense. So will you make sure that those people are the target audience that we're trying to rescue, rather than going after the ones that have already reached safe refuge?
We are all in agreement that we need to continue to support vulnerable Afghans in getting to Canada as safely and as quickly as possible. And we, as a government, are continuing to explore additional avenues to bring more Afghans to safety as quickly and as safely as possible.
So General Prevost just said in the last round that over 1,850 people that were vetted by National Defense have been provided to IRCC. Do you know if IRCC is going to provide an invitation for them to come to Canada, including those that were at Graceland?
Let me ask General Prevost if he would like to add anything here.
Thank you, Minister, Madam Chair. So to answer the member, these 1,840 files that were provided to IRCC are the files for which IRCC has extended an offer for application. As more space becomes available, we continue to push files that we have vetted within the department. And IRCC continues to look at how we can bring more vulnerable Afghan. The language and cultural advisor file.
Do you feel confident that the Department of Immigration, Refugee Citizenship Canada will extend the invitation to those vulnerable Afghans who are coming through the special immigration program?
Madam Chair, I'm very confident. Like I mentioned before, just this morning again, we pushed another 160 files we had vetted for IRCC that they in turn are pushing.
So Minister Anand, has Minister Fraser given you assurances that those invitations will be issued?
we're working as a government here, and it is our government's policy
I don't like the
to
obfuscation
support
here.
vulnerable Afghans in getting to Canada as safely as possible. It is a priority for us, and we're working very hard to get to the targets that we have